All right, we are here for the Biscuits and SEC Week 13 preview. I just hate that we're here, honestly, guys. We enjoyed the season so much, but we're already at this game. We're getting ready for an Egg Bowl as we record this. That's tomorrow night, and it should be in the next couple of years, Texas and Texas A&M. But we'll get to that in a little bit as well. We're not gonna concentrate so much on last week. Last week was kind of cupcake week with a big win in Texas A&M against Prairie View A&M, and Mississippi State handling business against Tennessee State and all that. So you know how that all goes. Bama struggled against Arkansas. Ole Miss struggled against Vanderbilt. So it is what it is. But this weekend is rivalry week, which provides my favorite football game that has happened in the last 15 years, and that is Florida and Florida State playing with the winner getting to go to the Birmingham Bowl. This is everything that everybody should be excited about, and this game just has a chance to be magical. You got the Egg Bowl is the top game of the weekend, I think, and Louisville and Kentucky has a chance to be weird. So anyway, how you doing, guys?
Doing good, Steven. It's good to see you. I'm sorry it's been a few weeks since I've been able to join the podcast. Sometimes work gets in the way, but no, I'm glad to be back, especially ahead of this week. This is going to be a fun week. Rivalry week always is. Something crazy always happens. And this slate of games is going to be a lot of fun, especially I can't wait for the Egg Bowl. As this is kind of shaped up, right, with Ole Miss playing the way they are in the top 10, and then Mississippi State playing the way they are here at the end of the year. They're looking good, so I can't wait for this week.
No, absolutely. That's my dog Archie, as you can hear. He's staring at the window trying to guard us from people walking down the street. So bear with him a little bit. Hopefully he'll won't do that very long. So Hammer, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Steven. Thank you for having us as always. Say hello to Archie for me. But yeah, it's a bittersweet weekend, right? You've got the possibly one of the best weeks of games of the year with rivalry week, but it's also the end of the season. It coincides with Thanksgiving, so everybody's going to be eating, drinking, and carrying on while there's football on all weekend. So I'm excited. There's a ton of stuff that we can get into. So it should be a great weekend ahead.
Yeah, it absolutely could. I mean, there's a lot of games coming on. I don't know what he has in his mouth. This is bottle cap. Okay, so yeah, all of a sudden he's decided to be weird. So there he is, right there, looking at me. All right, the first game of the week. We're going to do the Egg Bowl last because we don't want this thing to get dated and be used and people to turn it off after this weekend. So we will do that last. So we will go backwards to the Egg Bowl. So we're going to start with Kentucky and Louisville. And this has a chance to get a little bit weird. Malik Cunningham is a heck of a player. Louisville's actually favored in this game. The game's being played in the big pizza box because you have the big pizza box and the big grocery bag in Kentucky. And it just has a chance to be odd. I'm looking forward to this game almost as much as the next one. We'll get into that. But this game could be a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. You look at Louisville; they're 6-5. They're so-so, but they haven't been losing games by that much, right? They've been in a lot of these games that they've been playing. Like you said, Malik Cunningham is a great player, can pose a lot of problems for this Kentucky defense. I think at the end of the day, Kentucky is going to be able to win this one. I think they've got too much on the line. I think Kentucky going 9-3 this year would just continue that momentum that Mark Stoops has for that program, and so I think he'll have them ready for this one. At the end of the day, I think that Chris Rodriguez is going to be the difference maker. I think they're just going to try to run the ball on this Louisville defense, which is so against the run. I think they're like top 60 right now against the run, so not that good. I think Chris Rodriguez is going to be able to run on them, and I think that Will Levis makes a few plays with Wandale Robinson to get this one done. I think it's going to be closer, than we might have thought at the start of the season, but I think in the end, Kentucky gets it done.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think honestly, I didn't think this was going to be that good of a game because I haven't really paid much attention to Louisville since Ole Miss whooped them all the way back in week one, which seems like years ago now. But I noticed when this game opened or the lines opened that Louisville was favored. I think they still are favored by like 3 points. So when I saw that, I took a look and tried to do a little more research to figure out why in the world they were favored other than being at home. And I think Alex pretty much nailed it. Malik Cunningham is a great player. Louisville's won a couple games, but it was against Duke and Syracuse, and I think they're just a so-so team. Kentucky, in my opinion, should be able to go in there and handle business. I think top to bottom, they're better. Outside of a heroic performance from Malik Cunningham, I just don't think they really have enough to get by Kentucky. The Kentucky defense is pretty solid, should be able to limit Louisville. And then offensively, I do like, Wandale Robinson and Chris Rodriguez to have pretty good games. So unless Mark Stoops has already taken some other job and they just don't care anymore, I don't see them losing this game. I think, as we've talked about, he's building something there. This is big for recruiting in that state. So I'd be surprised if they lost this game. I'm going Kentucky.
Yeah, I think Dave Aranda or Mark Stoops has a chance to be the next head coach at Kentucky or LSU, and if it's Mark Stoops, I expect them to lay an absolute egg this weekend. And Malik Cunningham running around looking like Lamar Jackson. This game I am low key looking forward to as well. South Carolina and Clemson. It is a game in Columbia to where if this game can get into the second half and be a game, that place is going to be a zoo. It sold out 2 days ago. They are ready for this game. So everything that is pent up, all that energy is going in the favor of South Carolina against a Clemson team that's kind of figured some things out and handled Wake last week.
Yes, I think look, if you're a South Carolina fan, you're probably thinking this is your best chance to beat Clemson. And, well, I guess obviously since Spurrier was there and he had some success and beat Clemson quite a bit. But it's been a long time. So they should be excited. I think the atmosphere will be rocking. I just don't quite see it, though. I mean, South Carolina is a great story, got to bowl eligibility, but it's one thing we say in football that defense travels. And Clemson has a very good defense. South Carolina's offense is still quite limited. They've been able to do some good things lately, but I don't expect them to put up a bunch of points on Clemson. Now, the flip side, obviously, is Clemson's offense is very bad. So I think South Carolina's defense will be able to, limit them as most teams have. I think Clemson's just a better team. And like you said, they got a little bit of momentum. They beat Wake Forest pretty handily last week. And I think they're on a 4-game win streak overall. So they're figuring some things out and figuring out how to win games despite being pretty limited at the QB position. So I think Clemson will pull this one out, but I think it'll be fairly close. I'm thinking, like a 21-14, somewhere in that range type of a game, because South Carolina will fight hard. I just don't quite think they have the personnel to match up with a team like Clemson for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing out of Shane Beamer's team this year. At the start of the year, I was kind of looking at Shane Beamer and thinking, he was down the list for South Carolina to hire. I'm not too excited about him. I don't know how South Carolina fans feel about him, other than the fact that he had some ties to the Gamecocks from the past. So, I wasn't sure how they would do. I'm really impressed with him. I'm impressed with the program he's building. I'm impressed with the way he talks and wants to coach his players and build that program. And I think he's done a good job. I think he should be up for SEC Coach of the Year. And so with that being said, I think Clemson's going to win. I think at the end of the day, he's building something there. He's building something special. I think this would be big for recruiting if they can show that they are close to Clemson. Keep it within 10 points, say, and have a chance going into the fourth quarter. But I just don't see it happening. We're writing right now our Biscuits and SEC previews that are going to go up on the website. And I was writing it today, and I said it in the preview that I just think Clemson is going to out-talent South Carolina right now. And you've got DJ Uiagalelei. The offense this year hasn't worked out too well for Clemson, but I think they kind of figured something out. I think it was last week they scored over 40 points. And so I think that they're going to come into Williams-Brice and get a win. But no matter what, I am excited to see this first sellout for the Palmetto Bowl since 2019 in Williams-Brice. and that place is going to be going nuts because they do feel like they've got a shot to beat Clemson for the first time in a very long time. So while I think Clemson gets the win, I'm no doubt going to tune into this one and see how Shane Beamer's team fares. And it'll be big for recruiting. If Shane Beamer can show that they're close or somehow pull off the improbable and get a win, Shane Beamer's momentum is going to go into overdrive. So we'll see. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah, and this game has a little bit of a feel of that Ole Miss going to Tennessee type little hornet's nest that Clemson's going into.
Yep.
So Clemson will have to deal with that. That will be something that they have to contend with. At 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, Texas A&M plays LSU, and what I am considering the clunker of the week because LSU is just about quit. They've just about quit it down, and it's one of those games to where I think A&M will be able to win by 3 touchdowns, somewhere in the 31-10 type range.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. I kind of disagree with you, and the only reason I say that is I think A&M's going to win. So I agree with you there. I think it's going to be closer, though. The way that A&M's played, it's just been an up and down year, and I don't think that Jimbo has really figured out every right way to utilize his players and his personnel. He did it for one game against Alabama and caught lightning in a bottle where Zach Calzada played out of his mind. A few other games, the game plan hasn't seemed right, and they haven't adjusted well in game, including Ole Miss last week when the Rebels got a win and DJ Durkin, frankly, outcoached Jimbo. And the Aggies couldn't adjust. Now, Calzada made a few plays, right, that they would like to have back. And had he made a few more plays, they may have had a better shot to win. But I still think Durkin outcoached him in that game. Going into this one, I think LSU pretty much has quit. I don't think there's much left in the tank there. It seems like they've still got a little bit of fight. They're playing teams closer than you might have expected for a team that was going to roll over and die, which they haven't done. So it is always tough to walk into Death Valley to try to get a win, and A&M has figured that out since they joined the SEC. You don't just walk in there and get a win no matter what the situation is there, including Les Miles years ago who beat A&M while he was on the verge of getting fired. And the next year, 4 games in, got fired. So no matter the situation at LSU, A&M has learned it's always difficult to get a win against these guys. It's a rivalry game, and I think it's close because of that. But I think at the end of the day, A&M just has too much, whether it's Devon Achane or Isaiah Spiller in the running game. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think LSU has enough to overcome A&M on defense. So I think A&M wins. I think it's by 3-6, but I think it's close, and A&M pulls it out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in the middle. I think it's very possible we could see A&M blow them out if LSU kind of does roll over. I just don't know what to expect. There's a lot on the line for LSU in some ways. It's Coach O's last game. Do the kids want to play for him? It's their chance to go to a bowl game. Do the kids care about going to a bowl game? And then, of course, it is a night game in Death Valley, which A&M has not won in Death Valley since joining the SEC. So that's obviously been a tough venue for A&M as well as everyone else who goes there. So I could see it very easily being a kind of a rock fight until the end with both offenses struggling. Or I think if A&M is able to get off to a quick start and jump on them early, I could see LSU sort of throwing in the towel and just saying, all right, this is enough. This will be our last game and peace. But I do think, the reality is it'll probably be somewhere in between. I don't think LSU's offense is going to be able to move the ball much at all on A&M. A&M's defense obviously playing very well. LSU's offense is not. And then on the other side, it's all similar to the Ole Miss game, probably going to come down to the run game. We've seen Calzada, again, most of the year now, other than Alabama, he's been pretty average. So if you're going to ask him to win a game on the road, it's going to be very close, and you might lose. If A&M is able to run the ball, they should be fine. And again, I think it'll settle somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're going to run all over LSU, but I think they'll have a little bit more success than they did against Ole Miss. Hopefully Achane gets 15 or 20 touches at least in this game. And I think you'll see A&M pull away in the end, 24-14, something like that. But I do like them to get the win.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Teams that play a zone defense against Calzada has really been successful. Teams that have lined up and tried to athlete on athlete A&M like Alabama did, Calzada's been able to actually make some throws either through some Aeneas Smith slot fades or whatever's going on. So I think LSU, they've the last 2 weeks done a lot of zero blitzing because Coach O just doesn't care and there's no consequences. And so there's a chance for Calzada to make some plays.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. It's going to be a fun one.
All right, let's go to the friends and family game. Vanderbilt at Tennessee, 3:45 on the SEC network. It's a game. Tennessee's bowl eligible. It's a game where they could score 50 points. This got 57 written all over it, but this is like an old style 1990s Tennessee versus Vanderbilt game.
Yeah, this is a total mismatch. Speaking of, look, Vanderbilt, again, to their credit, they do seem to be fighting. They just are so limited. They gave a good effort last week against Ole Miss in a game that I don't think Ole Miss was really all that interested in, and sort of put it on cruise control and won with relative ease. So that's what I expect in this game as well. I think Tennessee is going to put up 40, quite possibly 50 points. Vanderbilt's going to do what they've done all year and get to 14, maybe 20, but this game will not be close. And Vanderbilt will quietly go away into the off season and enjoy their time off and away from practice and football, because it's probably been a long year for those players.
I think they open next season at Hawaii, so they have an early bowl game next season that they can look forward to.
Oh, well, yeah, they can look forward to that trip, I guess. At least maybe see the beach, hopefully, get out there for some early practices, because this one's going to get ugly. I think Tennessee's going to just crush Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has been listless all year. Clark Lee has the toughest job in America to try and turn that program around. Connecticut would be close, but Vanderbilt is in the SEC. So sorry to Clark Lee for that one, but good luck. In this one, I think Tennessee is going to score, 40 or 50 points. I think this one's going to be over by halftime. This is one of the great rivalries, though, in sports, right? It's like Yankees, Red Sox, Cowboys, Redskins, and then Vanderbilt, Tennessee. So just kidding, obviously. In football, that's not the case. In other sports, right, this is kind of it is a bit of a rivalry. Basketball and baseball, both teams are very good. But in football, no way, and that's not going to change on Saturday or on Thursday or when they're playing.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in sports is when Tennessee plays at Vanderbilt, when this game is in Nashville, Tennessee checkers out their stadium. It is one of my favorite troll jobs in all of sports. It's just wonderful. Tennessee fans are a little bit crazy to begin with, as we saw earlier this year, but that's pretty great. But I think Tennessee's going to walk all over this. Now, Alabama and Auburn, the CBS game, CBS wishes they had the Egg Bowl. But they get Alabama and Auburn is, let's see, what's the word? Weird. Going into this game, TJ Finley. There's rumors of Brian Harsin. There's like smoke of him going to Washington. There's everything going on. Alabama's not particularly good. Normally in a year like this, that Auburn voodoo would be something that you would actually have to worry about. I think Jamison Williams has a chance to get loose. I really like the Tide in this game, but the Iron Bowl, you never can tell.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's the Iron Bowl. You're always excited for this game, right? You've got two great traditional programs. Alabama fans might take exception to me saying that. However, Auburn does have some great history, as does Alabama, especially in these past 20 years. So. I can't wait to see this one. I think really this is pretty simple to me. And Auburn doesn't have Bo Nix. And TJ Finley just doesn't look like he's ready yet. I think he could be a very solid quarterback going forward for Auburn. But this year's not the year. He didn't look good last week. And I just don't think that he's got enough time to beat Nick Saban in Alabama in 1 week's time. So I think Alabama wins this one at the end of the day. I think they run away with it at the end, probably something like 44-21. And Alabama rolls on to Atlanta for the SEC championship game against Georgia, which we're all excited about and kind of have been waiting for, for a while now. So,
yeah, it'll be fun when we get together and talk about that game next week.
Absolutely, that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, That will be a good game, and I'm on the same page. I think the spread on this game is something like 18 or 19 points, which is a little scary in a rivalry game on the road. But if you were a Tide fan, I think you can feel pretty confident in this one. You laid it out, Steven. Jamison Williams looks unguardable. Auburn has a pretty good secondary. I just don't think they're going to be able to hold up for 60 minutes on them. And Bryce Young, he's playing very, very good right now. So I don't really know, the best way to attack him. I don't think Auburn has the defensive line to get in his face like A&M was able to do. So that could be problematic. And then, offensively, the teams we've seen give Alabama trouble, especially as of late, was A&M, Arkansas, and then Tennessee to a certain extent. All of which were able to throw the ball with a lot of success against Alabama. And as Alex pointed out, TJ Finley has not shown a lot, especially, accurate downfield passing. So, and Auburn's receivers are very limited as well. That's been a position of kind of weakness for them all year. So when you're looking at the matchup and trying to figure out where Auburn's going to be able to get an advantage, it's definitely not in the passing game. They're going to have a huge game out of tank if they're going to keep it close. And if you go into a game against Nick Saban and Alabama with one dimensional, then things could get ugly. So I think Alabama wins pretty comfortable in this one. And it's unfortunate. We love the fireworks and the craziness of the Iron Bowl, but I'm not sure this year we're going to get much of that.
Yeah, no, I don't think we are either. Yeah, he's just great today.
He's
next up,
for the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
He's all pumped up.
Yeah. Next up is the game that I am most looking forward to besides the Egg Bowl this weekend. Florida State, Florida. 2 5-6 teams. You're just looking at the winner is going to get the Birmingham Bowl and have to play again. It's basically going to be two teams trying not to play anymore. Although that's probably not fair because if Florida State wins this game, they actually finish 6-2. But in my mind, two 1990s blue bloods fighting it out for a Birmingham Bowl level game. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, this game is hilarious. And it's funny to look at the entire state of Florida and see all the programs with historical success really just down in the dumps right now. And the fact that we get to see two of them play each other on Rivalry Week is just a treat.
Just a slap fight.
Yeah. But in this game, give me Florida State. I mean, they started the year 0-4, have clawed their way back to be 5-6. So they're playing hard and competing, whereas Florida is the exact opposite, right? They have totally fallen off. They fired their defensive coordinator. Dan Mullen's gone. I mean, if you're a player on Florida, why? I don't blame them for giving up. I mean, the whole university's given up on you, right? I mean, the whole coaching staff is gone. They're telling us this game doesn't matter. Why am I going to go out there and play hard other than for, pride and try to put something on tape for the transfer portal or something, right? So I think FSU and Mike Norvell, they're going to be much more engaged and prepared for this game, in my opinion. Florida is a total circus. And getting to a bowl game at this point for Florida means nothing. For FSU, I think it does mean something from where they've come from the start of the season and in years past with the Willie Taggart disaster. So it would mean something to the Noles. Therefore, I think they're going to win. It's going to be an ugly game, though. I mean, Florida State's offense and deep, they're not a great team. So, like you said, a slap fight, but give me FSU just because they're going to want it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this one, well, first of all, Hank and I have actually talked about this, over the course of the last week or two, as Dan Mullen, it looked like, was going to get fired. But when you're looking at Miami and Florida State and the recruiting ground that Florida is, there is no excuse for those programs to be where they are. So I understand where the administrations and the fan bases are really ticked off because you look at Georgia and even Texas A&M now with Jimbo Fisher and Florida and Clemson and all these teams coming into Florida and just raiding that state of talent while you have three former blue bloods from the 90s just basically being there and not being able to get back over the hump, and their coaches can't do it. If I was a fan of one of those teams, I would absolutely be very frustrated that my team was not, in the top 10 every single year. And it looked like Florida had that until Dan Mullen just decided to nuke his program this year for, for who knows why, really. It seems like by the end of it, he was trying to get fired. Um, as far as this game goes, I agree with everything Hank said, but this has been the year of chaos. So with that, I'm going to go with Florida. I mean, not only that, but you've got Emory Jones, who it looks like got hurt in practice today. I saw about 2 hours ago. It looks like he may not play, and so it's going to be Anthony Richardson again, who a week ago or so took all of Florida out of his Twitter bio. So it is a complete circus at Florida. Florida State has more to play for, and for those reasons, I'm going with Florida because 2021 is the year of chaos.
Yeah, total circus at Florida, but Florida State's the one with the clown college. So I don't know. Georgia and Georgia Tech, a little clean, old-fashioned hate. Don't get too excited about this. Georgia Tech is 3-8. I did not know what their record was until about 5 minutes ago. And I still laid the points that they put on Georgia and everything, and I expect this game to just be a whitewashing and get ready for that championship game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Georgia Tech is terrible. This is not your grandfather's Ramblin' Wreck who used to, look good and be in the top 5 every year and played Rudy's Notre Dame. They're going to get rocked. The Ramblin' Wreck are not what they used to be. Georgia is really solid. They have looked good all year. They have not changed. They have been the exact same team every week. We're going to score 38 points, and we're going to be a boa constrictor on defense and not let you score more than 7. So Notre Dame, Rudyless Notre Dame last week beat Georgia Tech 55-0. So Georgia could beat Notre Dame by 20 points right now. Georgia could beat Georgia Tech right now 80-0 if they so wanted to. I expect this one to be over at halftime. I expect Tombstone Bennett to put another headstone in the yard by halftime. And I think that Georgia's going to beat them probably, say, 48-3. I think that defense will be ticked off if they give up more than 3 points. So Georgia by 1 million.
Yeah, agree with everything. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's revenge or karma or whatever for what they did to Cumberland College back in the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
The 222-0. Yeah. Yeah, but I agree with everything Alex said. I'll keep this short and sweet. There's 2 things I'm going to be looking for in this game. Number one, rumors are that George Pickens is likely to play. I know he suited up last week, but did not actually step onto the field. Seems like he could see some snaps, which is encouraging for Georgia fans. And then on a similar, tune, expect JT Daniels to play. Stetson will start. They're riding with Stetson. But again, Kirby's got that ace in his back pocket if he wants it. This is a game that you're going to want to get JT reps just in case disaster strikes later in the year and you do want to bring in JT. So look for Pickens out there and then look for JT to get some reps, and Georgia will, dominate.
We could talk about this next week, too, as we go into Alabama, but it would be really interesting if you had a Tua-type situation, right? I mean, Tua was a freshman, had never played, so it would be a little bit different. However, you could see something. Maybe if Stetson struggles in the first half against Alabama, maybe JT comes to the rescue in the second half.
I've thought about that more than once over the last couple
weeks. It might
of
actually
weeks.
more be like a Jalen Hurts situation against the Bulldogs in the SEC championship.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be interesting, but I think something like that could happen. Now, I told people the way to beat Georgia. I tell everybody because I'm like a football genius and everything, but I know how to beat Georgia. This is all you have to do to beat Georgia. You just have to hold them to 10 or 14 points, and because if they get to 20, it's over. And so that's my football expertise. So we move over on Friday at 2:30. Missouri and Arkansas at Fayetteville on CBS. It's going to be a good game. Missouri got bowl eligible. Thank you, Dan Mullen. And this is a game that if Missouri were to win this game, both teams could finish 7-5. Think about that, where we were 5 weeks ago. But if Missouri wins this game, both teams would be 7-5.
Yeah, that would be quite the story. As much as much garbage as us and everyone else was talking about Mizzou, South Carolina earlier in the year, and those two teams end up, one's bowl eligible, or well, both are, and then Mizzou maybe gets to 7 wins. However, I don't think that's going to happen in this one. Arkansas is at home; they play well at home. They're playing pretty well. Obviously they lost to Alabama, but Missouri is not Alabama, so I think they're going to win. KJ Jefferson's the better quarterback in this matchup. Tyler Beatty, I think, will be able to get his just like he's done on everyone. But Arkansas's got too many guys offensively. Assuming Traylon Burks is healthy, I know he was a little banged up against Alabama, although it didn't really show on his numbers that he put up. But I like Arkansas here. It's a rivalry game at home. Sam Pittman's guys are playing extremely well, hard. They're disciplined. You could say a lot of that about Missouri, but I don't quite think they have the guys to match up with them. And I don't trust Connor Bazelak going on the road against a Barry Odom defense. I think he could turn the ball over a couple times. So give me the Razorbacks here.
Yeah, I agree. This one's Barry Odom's revenge. I think he's going to have a good game plan. I don't think Mizzou's offense has enough in order to beat Arkansas. And I think Arkansas, as Hank said, KJ Jefferson's the better quarterback in this one. And I think Arkansas has too many weapons for Missouri to stop. That defense of Missouri's is still absolutely terrible. And I think that Arkansas could take advantage of it. So I think the Hogs, I don't think they win it too big. I think they win it by 7 to 10 points or so. But I think last week I got a new nickname for Eli Drinkwitz. It's Jet Eli. Jet Eli Drinkwitz. So Jet Eli, I don't think he's got enough this week to get it done. I think he got it done last week against Dan Mullen, and I think that was what he had in the tank for this year. And I think that Arkansas gets another win, more momentum for Sam Pittman's program. They're again exceeding expectations. Year 1, they exceeded expectations. Year 2, they've now exceeded expectations, and I think that they add another one to their win total to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, I have an opinion that the difference between a good coach and a great coach is the year 2, because if you can get to a kind of a finished product in year 2 and get ahead of the game as opposed to waiting to year 3, because I think Sam Pittman is going to get Arkansas to that level next year. But you look at Lane Kiffin in year 2, Nick Saban in year 2, Urban Meyer in year 2. There's just a drastic jump. And speaking of which, we will do the Egg Bowl last. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern kickoff on ESPN. Is honestly the game of the day tomorrow, NFL and college. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, Mississippi State is favored by 2 points. I think it opened with Ole Miss favored, so the public's going that way. And it's a game I'm genuinely looking forward to. Whenever I did a position-by-position breakdown, I did find only 2 spots that Mississippi State was the winner in. So if Ole Miss plays clean, they should win this game. If it gets sloppy like this game is prone to do, Mississippi State could win it.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be really interesting. You've got a hot hand in Cowboy Will Rogers at quarterback for Mississippi State, who for the last 4 games has just been on fire. You look at his stats, and he's playing well. He's getting control of that Leach offense. He's figuring it out. Ole Miss's defense has played well in spots where they've needed to this year, particularly last week, Texas A&M. They're starting to figure it out. So I'm excited to see that matchup of Will Rogers versus that Ole Miss defense. The Ole Miss defense last week really keyed in on the run against Texas A&M. This is a completely different offense that they're going to have to stop this week against this passing attack of Mike Leach, where they throw it 40 to 50 times a game. I'm always interested in games like that where you've got a back-to-back where your defense has to completely shift their mindset to a new offense. I think that's going to be difficult for Ole Miss in this one. Ole Miss has Matt Corral, which is what makes me think that Ole Miss is going to win this one. But at the end of the day, I think this one's really close. I like the momentum that Mississippi State has and the way that Will Rogers is playing and the fact that this one is in Starkville. So by a hair, I'm going to go with Mississippi State. And I think that one's a little bit on my mind about revenge for the A&M loss last week to Ole Miss, Stephen. But I'm taking Mississippi State. I think it's going to be a really close one. And actually, it wouldn't be surprised me at all if Ole Miss wins this game. I think it's a toss-up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I hate to agree with Alex here and team up on you here, Stephen, but I'm leaning Mississippi State here. I was writing the preview earlier today for Biscuits and SEC as well, and I like I really couldn't find much of a reason to pick one team over the other. Alex just laid out a lot of great points, right? What is DJ Durkin's defense going to look like against this air raid? I know if you're Ole Miss, you're going to really need your D line to come to play. You know, Sam Williams is going to have to get pressure because we've seen what Will Rogers does. If you rush 3 and drop 8, he's figured it out now. He knows the holes in the zone. He knows what receivers to hit. And then if you do bring pressure, he hits the hot route. So you've got to be able to get pressure to him by just bringing 3 or 4 linemen. I think Ole Miss can do that. I don't know how consistent they'll be able to do it. I think that's, the key to the game. And with it being at home for Mississippi State, and like you said, there's a tendency for this game to get a little bit ugly, a little bit wild. It's supposed to rain, I think, as well, so it could be totally sloppy. I'm leaning Ole Miss, Mississippi State. But yeah, again, this is a total toss up because I say all that for Mississippi State on one hand, and then on the other hand, I look and I go, "It's Matt Corral's last regular season game." Ole Miss is getting healthier, right? Their offense should be pretty darn healthy. I think Matt Corral and Lane have been holding back the last couple weeks, and he's not been running the ball hardly at all. So I think there's some wrinkles that we haven't seen much as of late out of Ole Miss's offense that are in their arsenal that could be brought out and could easily propel them to victory. So I'm just excited to see it. And I'm thinking this game gets up into the 30s. Hopefully the weather doesn't totally, make it a slop fest, but this game to me will be back and forth and probably will come down, to obviously turnovers. I think both teams will take care of the ball, but, maybe special teams who can make kicks, and then who's going to have the ball last, who's going to be able to make the play. Because I think both quarterbacks have shown, given the ball at the end of the game, they can drive down the field, they can make plays, they can make it happen. So I lean Mississippi State. The cowbells will be ringing, but I really would not be shocked if either team won here.
Yeah, and just so you can get your weirdness in the Egg Bowl out early, Ole Miss's kicker has been suspended for PEDs.
Well,
that is the rumor right now. So just think about that. This is the most Egg Bowl thing I've ever heard.
I love it. That's so great.
So Ole Miss's kicker gets suspended. This is a couple weeks after Leach is calling for open tryouts in Starkville because he thinks both of his kickers blew the game in Arkansas, so he doesn't have a kicker.
Game where kickers are crucial. I love it.
So here's another key to the game. Then maybe Lane does not need more reasons to go for it on fourth down, as we've seen. But if his starting kicker's out, then we might see even more fourth down attempts.
Lane's going to call that game like a 12-year-old playing Madden. There's no chance now. I mean, It might be team never punt,
Yeah.
Well,
so
like
Ole Miss,
14 game in EA Sports, because you got Mike Leach on the sideline who always calls the game like a 12-year-old, and you got Lane Kiffin who's going to try and call the game like a 12-year-old this week, and you got the rain. It's just going to be mayhem.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Leach never runs the ball, and Kiffin never wants to kick it all, so it is like a 12-year-old playing Madden.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, thank y'all very much for doing that this week. Next week we'll get together and talk a little bit of Alabama and Georgia. It might be a little quick one, but it should be a lot of fun. But thank you very much, and have a good Thanksgiving.
You got it. Thanks for having us, Stephen. Happy
you too, Stephen.
All right, Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys next week.
Look forward to it.